everyone, and welcome to another episode of our Duotone Wing and Foiling Tech Talks. Today I'm standing here with the man who does the magic on all our Duotone wings, Mr. Ken Winner. Very happy to have you in the talk. And we're standing here with the Unit 5th generation, the Unit 25, with 3 different models. So Ken, what was the goal with these wings? What have we improved? What have you been working on? Maybe first, in terms of design work on the wing itself.
Well, our number one goal with the new unit was to make it a little more stable when it's flagging, when a surfer is riding the wing on a wave, or when someone is downwinding and holding the wing by the handle and just trailing it behind. We wanted it to be more stable in a lateral direction, in like a yaw and roll direction. And we achieved that in part by flattening out the center of the canopy a little and reducing some of the canopy tension and stiffening the handle. So those were our main goals. Another major goal with the unit was to improve our handle. So now we have a handle that has what we call a pistol grip in the front. It's easy to hold the handle like a pistol, and whether you want to use a boom or 2 handles, you have the same convenience and comfort. One of the really important features of this handle is the fact that it's smooth everywhere. It's very sort of ergonomically agreeable, and there are no sharp edges or corners to bump your hand against.
That is one of the things I really love. I mean, we just went straight into the handle situation. I must say, personally, riding these just now here on Maui during the shoot, I really love the new handles. Love the new boom. That's pretty much the feedback from everyone here. And you mentioned one small detail which is very important for a surf wing, the leading edge handle. It's a small thing in the end. It looks like there's not much work on it, but I feel that makes quite a difference to the feel once you're on the wave. Right?
One thing we're always fighting when we're improving wings, we're always fighting the tendency to make things heavier, because you can always make things better and heavier. It's hard to make things better and not heavier. And with this handle, we sort of gradually improved the stiffness of it over time, partly because we didn't want to make it heavier. And having a lot of weight in the very front of the wing is a bad thing. You don't want a bunch of weight in the front. But with this handle, we were able to improve the stiffness quite a bit and add a negligible amount of weight to it. And the same applies with the handles. The handles are ergonomically much better than the old ones, but the difference in weight when you have a boom is pretty amazingly slight. In fact, the boom is lighter than 2 handles combined.
So your personal preference would be the boom?
You know, when we started 6 years ago with wings, I thought the boom was the way to go, and now it turns out most people in the business and most of the good riders are preferring booms. So it's a very strong trend. It's lighter and it's more intuitive to have a boom.
Funnily, we've had 2 models over the last few years, which is a Unit and a Slick. Unit with the handles, Slick with a boom. Unit is the best-selling wing on the market by far. It's a very popular model, so I guess with this edition that you have the options now to get a boom or to decide between boom or handles will make this wing even more popular. So it's really a big all-rounder step for this new unit. And maybe we want to point out that you guys buy these wings basically without the grip set, so you can opt for either handles or a boom, depending what you prefer.
Right, so the customer makes the choice. The customer can put 2 handles on, and you know, there are reasons to put 2 handles on. It's a little different ergonomically. The handle gives you a little different angle on your wrist, so some people are going to prefer that. Another thing is when you roll the wing up with 2 handles, you can fold it in half and it fits in the bag a little differently than if you roll it up with the boom on. So, you know, some people will prefer one, others will prefer the other, and I'm really happy that we can give both in the same wing.
obviously, there is an option in the new bags. So there is an extension. If you want to leave your boom mounted, you don't need to be scared that you always need to take your boom off. The bag has that extension, is long enough to place both options.
One thing I'd like to point out while I'm thinking of it is the slick has a round boom, but the unit has an oval boom. So the shape of the boom in the hand is very much like the shape of the handles in the hand. So when you go to the boom, you don't give up that oval hand grip.
In terms of just plain riding sensation, because you do a lot of testing going outside, going upwind, going downwind, you're doing tons of prototypes to fine-tune that sweet spot for front hand, back hand, having the draft position really locked in and really nice. How do you think does the new unit feel compared to the old one in that regard?
Yeah, the new unit has more grunt. It has more sort of low-end power. It's easier to pump up onto foil. And then once you're going, the power is always there if you want it to be there. If you're sailing along and you run into a lull, you still have power in the wing. If you're sailing along and you run into a gust, you can sheet out lightly and handle the gust with no problem. And so that's one of the things that's really important to us. We like to have consistent power delivery and a really good low end. At the same time, one of the risks you have when you build a wing with low end is you risk all of the power moving back here in a gust, and we avoid that. We come to the edge of that, but we don't go past that line to where the power goes back in a gust. Another thing we like is we used to really be happy with wings that were always lifting when you were luffing them, but we backed off on that a little bit. So we try to keep them neutral so that when you're luffing through a tack or luffing on a wave, the wing is pretty neutral, not dropping and not lifting heavily, but staying right about where you don't have any major pressure up or down on your hand.
Okay, so yeah, I personally must say they feel just really balanced, really neutral, and as you said, just a bit more of that direct power that some people might thought that could be improved from 24. So really great job on that. You're holding the original here. How many, you always go through the alphabet, how many protos have you been doing on the major development size?
Yeah, I haven't counted. We've done a lot of different prototypes in a lot of different sizes.
Yeah, I remember once you sent me one that was number 4.0 M.
Right. So we went to M-2 on the 4 meter sizes, but we also had to do several 6s, several 5s, several 3s. So we've had to do quite a few prototypes.
Tons of work, and this was only on the original. Now talking material play a little bit, there is a new canopy on this.
Right, so we went to a slightly lighter canopy material back here. This material is just as durable, just as stretch resistant as our MOD3, but it's a little bit lighter. So we just were able to take a little bit of weight out of the wing by going to a new canopy material.
So this canopy is called MOD3 S?
Yeah, MOD3 S, and we have our lighter ripstop here. Our Dacrons are the same, but the MOD3 S is a new and an improvement.
Yeah, we've tested, last time I was here, we, together with the Spencer brothers, tested tons of different wings, exactly same wing with different canopies.
Right.
This was the favorite pick from all of us immediately.
Yeah.
So this was the original. Now we have 2 more models here. Previously we always had just the original and the D-Lab. There was one year where we had the slick SLS. Now we reintroduce the SLS with a new concept for the new unit. This time with the handle configuration. As you can see here, Ken was talking before about the ergonomic handles. We had that already on the 24 model. That's the same on the new ones, just with that pistol grip and the nice smooth angles. So what's the difference?
Well, some people, just talking about the handles a little bit more, Some people will prefer the little bit change in angle here between the front handle and the back handle, which you don't get with the boom. So that's an attraction for some people. The main difference between the Unit SLS and the Unit original is that we have, instead of this white Dacron,
It's a heavier, stiffer Dacron.
it's a heavy, stiff Dacron, which gives the wing more power, more stiffness, more rigidity. But it's also it's a heavier material. So with the SLS, we used Aluula in the center, which is half the weight and has equal stiffness. And in addition to that, we have Penta out here instead of our original Dacron. Penta also is a little stiffer, a little lighter. So overall, the leading edge of this wing is a little stiffer. Now, we didn't want it to be too stiff, so we reduced the diameter a little bit to get just the right amount of flex for the average size rider. Now, a lighter rider might want a little bit less air pressure on this to soften it up a little. Our canopy materials are the same. We have our light Dacron here, our MOD3 S here. And
In this case, in the undyed version that we use in all our Concept Blue
right,
wings.
the undyed version.
So we have the recycled plastic parts on the Concept Blue wings as we had on the slick Concept Blue. And what I feel, just grabbing this wing, you immediately feel that extra stiffness compared to the original. Almost something that you feel when you're grabbing the D-Lab wing. Not quite as stiff. What I found interesting during testing that we had different versions with different settings, different amounts of Aluula in the process. And ultimately we went back to the one that had the smallest.
Right,
amount.
we had more Aluula in the leading edge and we ended up with something that seemed a little too stiff. Of course, we could have always made the leading edge smaller, but
this was the favorite pick.
This seemed really popular, so we went with this.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's a really great mid-price option, and I think it's very well placed in terms of power and stiffness that you feel to a
and
to
a little
D-Lab.
lighter.
And and it's a little lighter.
Yeah.
There's a bigger weight difference compared to the previous slick SLS. So yeah. Then moving on to the top of the range, the D-Lab. I'll take this out of the way a little bit. So what's different here in terms of design?
You know, the design concept is the same. The idea to make it better for flagging on a wave, better for flagging downwind, a little smoother and less draggy through attack. Keeping all the other features that we've had on our D-Lab units in the past, which is lower weight, better stiffness, actually better durability, honestly. The Aluula lasts really well, holds its shape really well over time, and that helps the canopy to hold its shape over time. So I think a lot of people think of the D-Lab wing as somehow being more fragile, but it's not. It's actually more durable and holds its performance level over a longer period of time than less costly wings do. The stiffness of the D-Lab makes it really suitable for bigger riders. If they pump it to the specified air pressure, it's going to be quite stiff for them. But a lighter rider can also enjoy it because it has less weight, and lighter riders very often like a less heavy wing. But then a lighter rider would probably use a little less air pressure. Like my wife, for example, always uses a D-Lab, and we just put a little less pressure in it, and she loves it.
That's what I do for my kid.
Yeah.
Just give it 1 or 2 psi less, especially on a gruntier wing like the D-Lab or the SLS. Yes.
Yeah, and one thing about the D-Lab is it's designed to be more high-end oriented, so it's faster. It handles big wind gusts really, really well, and for the discriminating rider, it's a really good choice.
So that's even more reduced in diameter, the most slippery wing.
Yeah,
I guess,
most slippery ring.
The fastest option we have in the range. So if you want to do a race, that's definitely your pick.
Yes.
When we did this last test on direct comparison 1-to-1, that's where I found like it's The stiffness is like with the SLS, feels almost like a D-Lab, but then when you pick the D-Lab, it's like significantly lighter. And then it also flags like amazingly well on the wave due to that lighter
Yeah,
wing.
one thing we've noticed with testing different wings for flagging ability is, the lighter the wing, the better.
Obvious.
Yeah, because it has less inertia. When it starts to get out of shape, it comes back into shape very easily because it's lighter.
All right, also the D-Lab with the new MOD3 S, all the wings. So I think this will continue to be the most popular wing out there
No
now
doubt.
in all three construction technology levels that we are offering. So yeah, thanks Ken.
Sure.
That was, I think, a nice overview of the wing range with a few extra infos. If you guys have any comments, just leave it below and hit that like button if you like this sort of content. Obviously, there is more tech talks that you should check out. So I hope to see you in one of the next ones.